الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khairan for joining our final lesson of our Sirah course. We are only covering the Meccan period, hence why we will stop after this lesson, inshallah. And after some time, we will cover the Medinan period, inshallah. So this is our final lesson, our 16th lesson. We will cover just the migration of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Just briefly going over what we covered last lesson. We were speaking about how the kuffar, how the non-believers, the disbelievers, how they planned and they plotted to assassinate and kill our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Well, Allah says in Surah Anfal, verse number 30, Allah says, وَإِذْ يَمْكُرُ بِكَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِيُثْبِتُوكَ أَوْ يَقْتُلُوكَ أَوْ يُخْرِجُوكَ وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. Allah is saying to our beloved Prophet ﷺ that remember the time when the kuffar, when they schemed against you to imprison you, to kill you or exile you, meaning to drive you out of Makkah. وَيَمْكُرُونَ, they planned, وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ, and Allah planned. And Allah is the best of planners. وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. They tried to kill our Prophet ﷺ, but our Prophet ﷺ was one step ahead as he had Allah on his side. And Allah told him about their plan. And the Prophet ﷺ, he appointed Ali radiallahu anh to sleep in his house and on his bed. And the Prophet ﷺ woke up in the morning and he left his house. Whilst leaving his house, he was reciting the verses of Surah Yasin. And he recited, وَجَعَلْنَا مِن بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ سَدًّا وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ سَدًّا فَأَغْشَيْنَاهُمْ فَهُمْ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. Where Allah says, we have placed a barrier in front of them and a barrier behind them, and we have enveloped them so they cannot see. So those young men from each tribe that were waiting outside our beloved Prophet's house to assassinate him, they did this so no tribe can be blamed. Everyone will be held accountable. So the Quraysh cannot do, if everyone is held accountable, the Prophet's family, they cannot do nothing about it because all tribes were involved. They were all put to sleep. Allah put them all to sleep. Allah put a veil, a barrier, okay, in front of the eyes, which they couldn't see. The Prophet walked past them and he got a handful of sand and he placed it on their head just to humiliate them. And he walked on and he went to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's house. When he went to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's house, he said, Abu Bakr, are you ready? It's time we migrate now. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was really happy as he was going to become the companion of our beloved Prophet in migrating. Okay, the Prophet he didn't pick anyone else, he picked his best friend and the first Khalifa, the first Caliph. He picked Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu to migrate with him, be the companion to migrate with him. So it was around Maghrib time and no command came from Allah. Okay, so they planned to migrate. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he made all the arrangements. And the Prophet before leaving, he assigned Ali radiallahu anh to do some tasks. Like we mentioned, the first one was to sleep in his house. And the second one was to give back the belongings of those who had given the belongings to our Prophet ﷺ. It was amazing that our Prophet ﷺ, even though the Quraysh and the disbelievers, they didn't believe in his message, they still took him as the most honest and reliable and trustworthy man in Makkah. They gave all the belongings, the savings, the jewelry to the Prophet to keep. They deposited all the belongings to the Prophet to keep. And whenever they wanted it was like a bank system. Whenever they wanted it, they would come and take it from the Prophet. So over the years, the Prophet he built such a high reputation for his honesty that even the unbelieving and the non-believing Quraysh, they would give their valuables to him. That's such a important lesson we can take into our life, that they didn't believe in Allah, they didn't believe in the religion the Prophet was preaching, but they knew how honest and truthful this man was. They couldn't trust their own people to deposit their wealth or their jewelry. They trusted the Prophet. So the Prophet, he told Ali, the responsibility, I'm giving it to you. You have to return the property, the wealth, the jewelry, whatever is in my possession, you have to give it to the rightful owners. But again, this is a very important lesson we can take. If someone gives us something, yes, if someone gives us something to borrow, if someone gives us something to keep, yes, we have to look after this item of theirs more than we look after ours. Yes, you're borrowing someone's car, if you're borrowing someone's phone, if you're borrowing someone's watch, if you're borrowing someone's anything it could be, yes, look after it more than you will look after your own item, because it's not yours. Okay, don't just treat it anyhow. Look after it. Look at the Prophet. Yes, he just didn't look after it. He made sure Ali radiallahu anhu gives everything back to the rightful owners. So many lessons we can take from these first few points. Then the Prophet and Abu Bakr, yes, they planned to move on, and they took a different route. Yes, on the journey to Medina, they took a different route. This route was not the route others would normally generally take. They took a route, and on this route, they would come by a cave called ghar Thawr, the cave of Thawr. And the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr, yes, they made way. They were with Abdullah ibn Abu who showed them the way. Okay, and Abu Bakr also told his slave Amir ibn Fuhayra to, this was his freed slave, he told him to graze the milking sheep in the daytime around the cave, and in the evening to come and give some milk. And he told his daughter as well, Asma, to give food, to bring food to the cave, so the Prophet and Abu Bakr, they could eat. So people were assigned with different tasks. We will cover everything in detail, what they were assigned with in our next slide. Now the Quraysh, obviously they couldn't find the Prophet, so they put a bounty on his head. They said, whoever finds Muhammad, we will give them 100 camels. You might think 100 camels is nothing, right? What is 100 camels? Nothing. Today, these 100 camels are like, you can say 100 Ferraris or 100 Lamborghinis, 100 of the best cars out there. Because camels were one of the best transports out there. They were the only animals that could travel in the desert. Allah designed them in such a way, Allah fashioned and made them in such a way that they were perfect for the desert. As we know, Allah says in Surah Ghashiyah, أَفَلَا يَنظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبْلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. We read these surahs, but do we know what this means? Allah says, have they, mankind, not looked at the camel and seen how it was created? Okay, perfectly, it was created in harsh climate. You know, the desert is very harsh, very hot. Allah has given the camel unique features, qualities and capabilities that makes them perfect for the desert. They have long eyelashes, right? Hence why the sand wouldn't affect their vision. They have flat feet. Okay, so when they do walk on a stony or a uneven ground on the desert, it wouldn't really hurt their feet. They can store up to 20 liters of water. Any food they eat, they can chew on the food later on. They're perfect for the desert, the best transport. Imagine getting 100 of these camels. Everyone went crazy to look for the Prophet, to find him and to get him alive or to kill him. They would get 100 camels. Abu Jahl, yes, the enemy of Islam, he confronted Asma. He told Asma, where is Abu Bakr? Where is your father? Where is your father and where is your father's best friend? At that time, she was pregnant. She was in her last stages of pregnancy. Hence why she couldn't migrate. And they didn't really care what she was doing. They thought she was heavily pregnant. What can she do? But she was, even while heavily pregnant, imagine that. While heavily pregnant, she would climb the mountain. She would go to the cave and give them food. Yes. While being heavily pregnant, she would do that. The Quraysh, they didn't really keep a tab on her or eye on her. They thought, what kind of pregnant woman do? But this is what she was doing. Amazing. Takes us to our next slide, where we learn about what happened in this cave. There's a picture on the side for those who do go to Saudi Arabia, for those who do go to Makkah, you can see this cave, ghar Hira. Okay. And the Prophet Abu Bakr, before Abu Bakr he entered this cave, he made sure that it was safe for the Prophet to go in. He went in first, and before he went in, he told his son Abdullah to find out what the people of Makkah were saying. If everyone is still looking for Abu Bakr and the Prophet. So he set that task for his son. We will speak about the task inshallah in our next slide. Yes, it comes in our next slide, inshallah. So the Prophet, before he went in, Abu Bakr went in to clean the cave up so it's safe for our Prophet to enter. He made sure all the holes in the cave were blocked. He ripped his clothes off to block all the holes. There was one hole left that wasn't blocked. He couldn't block. So Abu Bakr, he told the Prophet to come in, and he blocked this hole with his feet. Inside the cave, the first time he took some rest on Abu Bakr's thigh. Whilst resting on his thigh, Abu Bakr had his foot on the hole that he couldn't seal with his clothes. He never had enough clothing to seal that hole. He sealed all the other holes. And a snake came and he bit the foot of Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr, he wasn't like us. He didn't start shrieking. He didn't start making any noise because he didn't want to disturb the Prophet. The Prophet was taking some rest. But automatically, he is a human being. He started to feel the pain. Tears started rolling down his cheek, and he fell onto the blessed face of our beloved Prophet. And the Prophet, he asked Abu Bakr, what is it? Okay, why are you crying? What is it? He found out that Abu Bakr, his best friend, was bitten by a snake. The Prophet took some of his saliva and he applied it onto the bite of the snake, and it cured the bite, and Abu Bakr was much better. This shows how much love Abu Bakr had for our Prophet. Yes, he's willing to do an extra mile. He's willing to do everything for the Prophet. What do? We just say it's just a sunnah. Yes, it's just a sunnah. We don't have to do it. Think about it. Look at the sacrifices Abu Bakr made. So many sacrifices. Even way before this, when everyone would come and give charity, Umar would say that I would always compete with Abu Bakr, because Abu Bakr would always win, would always give the most. One day Umar came and he gave half of his wealth to charity, thinking today I will be Abu Bakr, definitely. Until he found out. The Prophet asked Abu Bakr, oh Abu Bakr, what did you give? Abu Bakr said, I gave everything in my house. The only thing I left in my house was Allah, the remembrance of Allah and the remembrance of his beloved messenger, Muhammad. So this man gave everything. The Prophet said that I have given everyone back whatever they have given me. Whatever help they have given me, I have fulfilled that back to them. I have given enough help, I have given something back to them. Besides Abu Bakr, Allah will repay him back for what he has done for me. Done so much for him. A very thin man, however, the work he done, yes, can move mountains. This man was a very strong man, and he was a pillar for the Prophet. He helped the Prophet throughout. He was his friend from the very beginning. From the days the Prophet would do business and trading, Abu Bakr was there. He was only 2 years younger than the Prophet. Also passed away at the age of 63. When the Prophet passed away at the age of 63, Abu Bakr was 61. 2 years later, he passed away. Both of them, they passed away at the age of 63. Time does not allow for us to speak about this amazing personality, this amazing man, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, we do plan to do a course on the four companions, on the four caliphs, the four khalifas, the four leaders. We will do a course regarding them, inshallah. Now, how did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help? Whilst they were in that cave, as soon as they entered, Allah sent a spider to make a web. Allah commanded a spider to spin a web from the bush across the entrance of the cave. So if anyone does come, they think that no one has entered this cave because there's a fresh spider web. And he commanded birds or pigeons to make a nest and lay some eggs. It shows that all creatures and everything is in the control of Allah. As mentioned in Surah Fath, verse number 4, where Allah says, وَلِلَّهِ جُنُودُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا. The armies of the heavens and the earth belong to Allah, and Allah can use them to assist Him in any way He wills. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا. And Allah is ever all-knowing and wise. So when Allah says the armies of the heavens, جُنُودُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, Allah is referring to these animals and creatures. Allah can use them in any way He wants to assist Him, whichever way He wills. Just like He got them to assist Him here. The birds, they made a nest, and the spider made made a web. When the mushrikeen came close, yes, they came to touching distance, they came to the mouth of the cave. That's when Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said, he started to, obviously, everyone will start to get scared. And the Prophet consoled him and said, do not worry, Allah is with us. لا تحزن إن الله معنا. The verse goes by in Surah 𝕂𝕚, Surah number 9, verse number 40. Allah says, إلا تنصروه فقد نصره الله إذ أخرجه الذين كفروا ثاني اثنين إذ هما في الغار إذ يقول لصاحبه لا تحزن إن الله معنا. Allah says, if you do not assist him, Allah speaking to the Prophet, if you do not assist him, then indeed Allah has assisted him when the kuffar drove him out. He was the second of the two, the other being his friend Abu Bakr. When they were in the cave, and he, as in Abu Bakr, told his companion, when he, the Prophet said to his companion Abu Bakr, do not grieve, do not be sad, do not worry. Inna Allah ma'ana. Verily, Allah is with us, and He will protect us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this verse for the person to console his companion, Abu Bakr, that you are two and the third is Allah. Allah is with you. Allah will not leave you. La tahzan. Do not worry. Do not grieve. Do not fear for safety. Allah is with you. So this shows that whenever we go through anything, yes, we should never think that we are alone. Allah is always with us. Whenever we want anything, ask Allah first. Turn to Allah. Cry. If we cannot cry, if we cannot make dua and cry to Allah, then our hearts have become hard. But if we cannot lift our hands up and tears don't trickle down our cheek, then our hearts have become hard. We need to be able to cry like a baby in front of Allah. And Allah is the best of all helpers. Before we ask anyone for any help, we're sick, we're ill, before we take medication, before we go to doctors, ask Allah for help. Anything happens, ask Allah for help. You are never alone. You are never alone. Allah is always with you. Sometimes Allah puts us through difficulties to bring us closer to Him. Remember, we should think and we should worship Allah and speak, and we should think about Allah at times of adversity, okay, at times of goodness, happiness, and prosperity as well. So at times of adversity, when we're going through difficult times, we have to think of Allah. When we're going through good times, we have to also think of Allah. We can't just think of Allah at hard times, at difficult times, at hardships. We have to think about Allah throughout our life, good times and bad times. Think about Allah in our ups and in our downs at all times. And Allah will always help. Just like He helped in this situation, just like He helped all the prophets, all the companions, He will help us. So they stayed in this cave for 3 days before moving on. They stayed in this cave for 3 days before they moved on. Whilst they were in this cave, a few members of Abu Bakr's household, they supported Abu Bakr and the Prophet. I forgot to mention a point. On the way there, the Prophet on the way there, Abu Bakr would move to his right, to his left, behind him, and in front of him before they got to the cave. He was scared someone might attack him, someone might attack the person from the right. So he moved to his right. After a bit, he moved to his left in case someone attacks him from the left. Then he moved behind him in case someone attacks him from behind. Then he moved in front of him in case someone attacks him from the front. He tried his utmost best to keep our Prophet safe, to take care of the Prophet. So Abdullah ibn Abu Bakr's role was to find out the people, what the people of Makkah, what they were speaking about, what are the situations of going in Makkah, are the people still looking for Abu Bakr and Prophet. So he was the son of Abu Bakr. He had the role of going and finding out, assessing what's going on in Makkah. Are people still speaking about us? People still looking for Abu Bakr and Muhammad. Asma bin Abu Bakr, we spoke about her. She was pregnant, heavily pregnant in her last stages. She was the one who was providing the food. Even though she was pregnant, she was still climbing the mountain to get to the cave to feed her father and the beloved Prophet. Amir bin Fuhayra, the freed slave of our Abu Bakr, he was grazing the sheep. Okay, he was milking the sheep, grazing them in the daytime, and he would bring them past the cave each night and give milk to Abu Bakr and our Prophet. And Abdullah bin Ariqat or Arqat, some say, he was the guide. Okay, some say Abdullah bin Arqat, some say Abdullah bin Urayqit. Okay, his name, some differences. He was the guide. So Abdullah ibn Arqat or Abdullah ibn Urayqit, he was the guide who would guide them to Medina. Now, as the bounty was given that the person who finds the Prophet ﷺ and kills him or brings him would be given 100 camels, everyone went crazy to find the Prophet ﷺ. One man named Suraqa bin Malik, he got close to the Prophet ﷺ. He was on his horse. As his horse drew near, the Prophet made dua, and his horse feet, they sunk into the ground. Even after his horse came back onto the ground, again he tried to go for the Prophet. Again, his horse feet, they sunk into the ground. He did it 3 times until he came close to the Prophet. And he knew that this must be something, this must be an amazing man, this must be a miracle. Okay, this is not a normal, ordinary man. So he said, I am Suraqa bin Malik bin 𝕗𝕐𝕗. Wait for me so that I can speak to you. By Allah, I will not harm you. Prophet said to Abu Bakr, ask him what he wants from us. Abu Bakr asked him, O Suraqa, what do you want? He said, write a document for me, okay, for my security. The Messenger of Allah, he told Abu Bakr and Amir bin Fuhayra to write a piece. Write something on a piece of leather or bone, which Suraqa can hold on to, and it can be a security for him. Suraqa didn't accept Islam there and then, he accepted Islam later on. Prophet said to him, that also, O Suraqa, how will you feel when you are wearing the bracelets of Kisra, when you are wearing the bracelets of Khosrow? How will you feel? And this event took place when the Persian emperor was conquered. The bracelets, the belt, and the crown of Khosrow was given to Umar radiallahu anhu, and he called Suraqa bin Malik, and he told Suraqa bin Malik to put the bracelets on, to put the crown on, to put the belt of Khosrow on, because he remembered what the Prophet said. He remembered that the Prophet said, how would you feel, O Suraqa, if the bracelets, if the crown and the belt of Khosrow, of Kisra, were to be given and you were to wear them? So later on, Suraqa, he became a Muslim. He took shahada. This was the man who tried to kill the Prophet. 3 attempts to kill the Prophet, but he later on became a Muslim. And the last point before we finish is regarding Ma'bad. During the journey, the Prophet, whilst they were, after they left their cave on the way to Medina, they passed the house of Ma'bad. She had a goat that was rarely ever giving milk. So the Prophet stroked the udders of the goat, and milk started to flow out. The Prophet took the name of Allah, Bismillah, and prayed for a blessing, and milk started to flow. He drank to his fill. The companion Abu Bakr and Abdullah ibn Abu he drank to his fill, and there was enough milk left for Ma'bad and her family. Later on, when Ma'bad's husband Abu Ma'bad came, he told his wife that what happened. He was shocked. He said, by Allah, it could only have been a blessed man who passed by us. When she described him, when she described the physical appearance of a Prophet, he said, by Allah, I think it is the man who the Quraysh are seeking. He and her husband also accepted Islam, and she is amongst the very few companions who described the Prophet physically, because she saw him. She described him physically, as mentioned in the hadith. This was the last point of our slide. Then the Prophet, him and Abu Bakr, they moved on, and they came to Quba, where they built a masjid in Quba. This was the first masjid built, Masjid Quba, and it's the fourth most important masjid in Islam. We know the first most important masjid and beloved masjid in Islam is Masjid al-Haram in Makkah, Kaaba. Second is Masjid al-Nabawi in Medina. Third is Masjid al-Aqsa in Jerusalem. And the fourth is Masjid Quba. So on the way from Quba to Medina, it was on a Friday, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed them to pray Jum'ah. Allah also revealed Surah Jum'ah, Surah number 62, I believe. And a masjid was also built there. On entering Medina, yes, children decide to say the Nasheed, 𝕂𝕗𝕗 الْبَدْرُ عَلَيْنَا. And this brings us to an end of our Meccan period, where we covered the life of Ibrahim alayhi salam. The reason why we spoke about Ibrahim alayhi salam, as he was the grandfather prophet of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We covered the story of Ismail alayhi salam, briefly about Ishaq alayhi salam, and exactly what happened in the life of Ibrahim alayhi salam for a few lessons before we started the beautiful seerah of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where we spoke about his birth, what happened before birth, what happened after birth. We spoke about his life with Halima Sa'diyah, his wet nurse, his milk mother, the splitting of the chest, and everything what happened in his early years, in his toddler years. And we spoke about the death of his mother at the age of 6, and his life and his time with his grandfather Abdul-Muttalib. And then we moved on to his life with his uncle Abu Talib and the story of Bahira. We also spoke about his marriage to Khadija radiallahu anha. We covered all that until he became a Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. and his children. We spoke about all the way until right now we're roughly at the age of 53. So we covered the first 53 years of his life in the previous 16 lessons. We will take a short break and commence with the Medinan period shortly, maybe in a few months, inshallah. More details will be given. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.